Hello everyone, welcome to class. My name is Instructor Muriel Howard and I am excited for you guys being in the medical billing and coding industry. So I wanted to give you a quick tutorial just welcoming you and also very great hints and tips on how to be successful not only in this course but also in future courses. So be sure to watch the entire video for the duration and you'll be excited to know how there are some very helpful tips on being successful, especially with your test. So I'll get started. Okay, on the agenda, information about me. I've already introduced myself, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about me and who I am and everything. Help, and more help. How to receive help. Your goals for this course and future courses. Grading. Hints and tips for success. And my contact information. Okay, here are some things that I love. My family, of course. I am a wife and a mother. I have 3 children and 1 granddaughter. I have 2 adult children and 1 7-year-old. I love healthcare and education, so that's why I am a healthcare educator. I've been in the medical industry in various positions since the early 90s. I started off as a medical assistant, and from there, I migrated over to the billing and coding industry. I had a medical billing service for about 5 or 6 years. I've been a phlebotomist. I've been an auditor. I've had various positions, medical secretary, you know, it's been about 20 years and I love it. I'm still doing it. I'm in school right now for my master's in healthcare administration. So there, healthcare and education, and I love to learn. So that's why I teach, and that's one of the reasons why I'm still in school. Video games. I love video games. I have systems as old as 30 years old up until some of the most recent systems. These are fun to me. I've always loved video games. I think that they kind of keep you sharp mentally. Sewing. I have a creative niche inside of me, so whenever I have that time or availability, I love to sew when I have the time. Okay, computer programming. The very computer that I am working on right now, I've built from scratch. I've also built databases and websites, just different software. I think that, it's challenging and I just love to learn. Exercising is on the list, but it's not something that I kind of love to do. It's something that kind of calms my nerves when I'm in having a very stressful week or if I'm preparing myself mentally for a big exam or a project. Exercising kind of helps me get through that. So that's a hint for some of you because some of the portions of this program may be a little bit challenging. So there you go. Okay, help, and more help. These are some of the areas, not every area, but some of the areas where you may receive help for this course and future courses. Your announcements. Here's where I will continually post helpful information, weekly wrap ups, assignment instructions, protocols, testing information. Anything that I believe the entire class should know is going to be on the announcements page. Sometimes I email these out to you guys, so check your personal email account as well as the spam folder because I may end up there sometimes, not sure why. But if you are logging in once or twice a week, make sure to check your announcements to stay updated on everything that's going on in the course. The announcement Asked Answered has several links for various tutorials, short videos, just to give you guys a heads up on things on how to do and where to go to receive additional help if needed. Be sure to continually click here if you have a question about something that is Blackboard related or UMA related. Okay, ask your instructor. Here is where I will post helpful information, just general self-help topics and things like that for the entire class. Check here a few times a week. I usually load this the first week of class, but I will continually load this if I find something even in week 3 or 4. So be sure to come here and look around when you get an opportunity. Student materials will be updated every week, throughout the week. Actually, every time I find something that is prevalent to the lessons or the topics or the chapter, I will post that information inside of student materials. A little bit later, like I said, I will share my computer screen so that you guys can see, the information that I have in the course for you and how to get to it. So I will kind of clarify as I go through. The Ask Your Coach. If you need some help with something, this area is a discussion area. Sometimes the coaches post lab schedules or something that's prevalent to our topics, so make sure you check that area a couple of times a week. And we have our MBC or MOA and MOPS as well, tutoring or instructor labs. So be sure to look at that calendar. And usually inside of the tutoring discussion forum, there is a copy of the calendar or a link to how to access that as well. Okay, our goals is to pass this course with an 80% or better. Not only this course, but future courses because grades really do matter in the healthcare industry. One of the things that will happen when you go searching for a job, if you're a candidate, your transcripts will be pulled, and they would like to know how well you did in school. What is your understanding of the topic in general? So pay attention to that. It's been almost 20 years for me, and jobs are still pulling my transcripts from years ago. And I'm happy that I took the school going to school seriously at that time, because I was, an A student, A B student. So I'm kind of proud, even now looking back 20 years ago, perhaps to have someone pull my transcripts. So grades do matter. So that's why I said pass each course with an 80% or better. Your test should also be, you should pass each test with a 70 or better. And there's a method to how to do this, and I'm going to share that with you today. So don't worry if you do not do well on the test the first time around. It offers multiple attempts. So I'll show you that if you don't know how to access the multiple attempt side of the test. I'll show you that today as well. Okay, the other goal is to complete and submit all assignments. Some of the assignments are very simple, even though it seems like it's a lot and a lot of reading. Once you actually break down the requirements for these assignments, you're going to realize that, it's probably just your opinion or about your experience, or even copying and pasting some information from another website. So pay attention to your assignments, prioritize them, do the ones that are worth the most points first. For instance, the assignments that are 40 points or more, do those first and make sure you have that um, credit, the heavy credit in your grade book. And then later on in the week, focus on the least, um, the assignments that have the least point dispensation. Okay, so grading. Turnaround times for grading. Sometimes they are not seen in your grades list when I am grading, but the turnaround times are um, usually Monday or Tuesday. Sometimes I may go over to Wednesday and complete the grading depending on how busy my week is and things that are going on with myself, but I try to have most of your grades posted, if not all of them, by Monday, no later than Tuesday. If you do not see a grade posted, then double check to make sure there's a submission, or just make sure that I didn't return it back to you with comments. And you will see an announcement explaining when the grades have been posted. So don't worry if Wednesday comes and it gets late. I probably am still grading. Okay, so what I mean by sometimes they are not seen in your grades list when the grading is in process is because I may hide them from view just to make sure that, I'm grading. And what I do a lot of times, I like to go back and forth and compare. If there's something that I believe you all didn't understand, then what I'll do is I may regrade, the entire assignment, or offer, another chance or an opportunity for submission or improvement. So don't worry if you don't see that assignment on the list when I'm completed with the grading for that particular assignment. I will allow it to reappear in a grade book. But that's not often, it's just sometimes. Okay, what I'm looking for is that the assignment criteria must be followed, netiquette must be followed, and what I mean by netiquette is that you must not type your entire paper in capital letters. You should not use bold font for the an essay or a paper. Usually times 12 times New Roman 12 font is what I'm looking for. Arial 11 font, but nothing that's really exaggerant or italicized or purple or green. That's not, that's poor etiquette when submitting assignments. So pay attention to that. Okay, as far as the assignment criteria, every week, whatever the assignment or that you're working on that particular week, there will be a rubric posted inside of those weekly student materials folder. I will show you that rubric and it will explain to you how your assignment is going to be graded, how the points will be dispensed, and the total points allowed for this assignment. Okay, and I will walk you through that as well. Here is how to calculate your score for your grade. So, usually the scores show up by points, like 35 points out of 40. What happens is that kind of totals out to 88%. So, this is how you know if you've gotten a 70% or better on the test or an 80% or better on your assignment and how you're doing in the course. What you do is you divide the total points the total points that you've received by the total points allowed. So you would say 35 divided by 40, or 25 divided by 40, or 30 divided by 40. And that's how you know how well you're doing. Okay, here's some more information about grading. When you first log in to UMA, you're going to see the global navigation menu at the top showing you your updates, and you will see how many updates you have here with your courses listed. And of course, my list is a lot longer than yours because I have a lot of courses that I teach. And when you click on this particular checkbox, you will see all of your grades appear for your courses that you've taken or that you're taking. What happens is your assignment turns into a hyperlink. And when you see that your grade has been posted, there will be a notification, a red notification here that your grade has been posted. You will look for that particular assignment in the list, and you can actually change this category to last graded. So you will see the most recent assignments graded show up or appear first. What you would do then is you would click on that particular assignment name or test name, and you will see my full comments appearing here. You should also see the score and your my full comments. This area here is just a partial comment. I usually have a paragraph, sometimes two, of information and feedback that I give you guys. So if I'm explaining that you can resubmit, or if I'm basically explaining which ones you received incorrectly or whatever, you won't be able to see that clearly here. You must click on the assignment link to open up that particular submission. And then there's also areas where I may even leave comments on your actual paper, on your actual assignment. So you will probably see, when you open the assignment, you'll probably see little arrows and little bubbles sitting on your assignment, and those are my comments. So you can click through there as well. And I suggest just practicing, going back and forth and viewing your grades because you don't want to miss over something and continually make the same mistake every week just because you can't see my feedback. Okay, mandatory formatting. For essays, I require a heading. The heading should consist of your name, our class title, and the topic. And you're going to be able to view your weekly rubrics for the examples of the formatting for essays. I am not requiring APA format, which is what a lot of colleges prefer to see. But if you're familiar with APA and you like to submit your essays in an APA style, if your class requires essays, because it may not, then feel free to do so. I'm just making sure that I can, when I print those assignments out, that I know whose paper I'm grading and for which course this is for. Okay, so viewing your test grades. Since your tests are multiple attempts, you will be given an opportunity to retake that test before Sunday midnight if you did not score well. So the total points possible for this person's test was 16 points. Um, what happened is they took this test three different times. Initially, they scored 8 points. They were able to view, if you click on the number, because this becomes a hyperlink as well, which will open up so that they can view the full submission and they can see which ones they received incorrectly. And you will be able to do the same thing. Um, in that in that respect, sometimes the answers are that will not appear. So you won't know what the correct answer is, especially if it's multiple choice, but you'll know which ones to rework. Okay, they did another attempt. They went up to 14 points. Then they did another final attempt and they went up to 16 points. What you do is you click on your grades, again, the name of the test, the score or the number to view the results of the test, and then once you're done, click try a new attempt. And so you should be able to do that if you have weekly tests that are not coding related, because in your coding classes, you only are allowed one attempt for the coding test. But on the regular test, because there's two tests a week in almost every course, you will be allowed to do both of those tests multiple times, as long as the deadline has not come. So make sure you print them out and practice. Okay, so later missed work. Extensions must be requested by way of the classroom to me. The advisors cannot grant extensions. So instead of calling in to your learning services advisor and sitting on hold and being, taken from one person to the next, I suggest just giving me a call or sending me a text or an email message and just let me know what's going on and that you need an extension. And I'm usually quite lenient in that respect, so don't be afraid to reach out to me. No late discussion board postings will be graded. The only time that I will accept a discussion late is if you let me know in advance that you probably can't post it on that Wednesday, or Wednesday passes and you've forgotten, and you let me know, hey, I'm sorry it's late. I just posted it. I'll still grade it as long as the Sunday deadline has not passed. So please assure that you post that initial discussion by Wednesday, if not no later than Sunday. Okay, extensions. Each course limits up to 3 extensions per term. If there are extenuating circumstances going on in your life, and we all have problems, including myself, I may allow more than that, but just make sure that you're keeping me in the loop. I don't want you to disappear for 4 weeks and then come back in week 5 saying I need an extension for the past 4 weeks, and my computer was down and this and that. You can always text me. I am willing to even email you your assignments if perhaps you cannot get into the course or you have to go to a library. I will work with you. So do not, keep me out of the loop. If in fact we're in week 5 and you need an incomplete. The incomplete period is only 2 days. So keep that in mind. The course ends on Sunday, final grades, and the incomplete period ends on Tuesday midnight. So the latest that you will have is 2 days to complete your work. I suggest, paying attention once again, doing your test and completing your assignments that are the most weighted category, I'm sorry, in your grade book. And make sure you focus on that so that at least you can have a C or better in the course. If you can't do an 80 or 90% or better, at least aim for a C to pass the class. Don't just say, oh, I can't do anything. Try to work it out where you can, at least do those 40-point assignments and those 45-point tests. If you have to skip over a discussion, it's 15% of your grade, but you want those assignments and tests that are worth the most, to count for you. Okay, hints and tips. One of the browsers that work really, really well for me is Google Chrome. If you haven't downloaded that already, you just Google the word Chrome on the Google website and it will give you a link to download and install the Google Chrome browser. And the reason I'm saying that is because sometimes, you're going to be watching a lot of videos. And what really helps with that video play is Google Chrome because, it's designed for that type of a graphic. Okay, downloading tests and printing tests and TBLS. All right, so I'm going to share my screen to show you guys how to download and print your tests in a few minutes. For the Think, Build, Live Success, if you have that in this course, what I want you to pay attention to are the assignment criteria for that. There's two things that usually go on with this. One, it's telling you to do an activity out of the book, and that activity is just for you to work on your own time. Once you complete that activity, you do not turn that in. 90% of the 90% of the time, you're not going to turn in that TBLS activity. You are just going to answer the one or two essay questions about that activity, and that's it. So just pay attention to those TBLS assignment instructions and the discussions if you have TBLS discussions. So let me back up a little bit and I am going to share my browser and then I can close out this little presentation and hopefully it helps you guys. Okay, so here we are inside of the student week 1 student materials. Over here, your student materials link, and in here you have your tools for success, and whatever I've posted here is usually downloadable or there may be a video or something. Pay attention to this area. Here's some information about medical terminology. Here's the assignment rubric, and as I mentioned before, we have the mandatory format right here. So this kind of shows you or gives you an example of what I'm looking for when you're writing your essays. So just use this as a guide. Okay, my office hours. I am available by phone. You can call me from 1 to 6 Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday through Friday. On Monday and Tuesday is usually swamped with me grading and reaching out to students, so I'm not available on these days. However, you can email me and text me any day of the week, and I will be sure to get right back with you as quickly as possible. Here's my cell phone number, and there's also an alternate number that I'm going to share with you. Your labs. Here's our list of instructor labs shown in here. Here's my availability is usually posted first. And if you do not have the opportunity to come to my lab, then you can reach out and go to either of these instructor labs, and that's okay. All right, so what's next? Here we're going to go over the test, and I just have, any test. This is a language of medicine test. It could be your regular weekly test. They may be called TNS test. But as you can see here, it says this test allows multiple attempts. When you see that, you're going to be able to do exactly what I'm about to show you. You click begin, and even if you are not ready to take the test, this is what I suggest doing so that you can do well. And remember, I said 70% or better. You can highlight and copy all of the questions. There's usually 25 questions in these tests. Um, and I have everything highlighted. I basically right clicked and drug my mouse all the way down the page. Now I can right click here and then I can hit print. And I'm using Google Chrome. So when I hit print, it's basically showing me that I'm going to use up 4 sheets of paper if I print it out right now. Or I can hit copy and then I can go to a Word document. Excuse me, let me get a fresh document. And then I can hit paste. And what's going to happen, it's going to take a few minutes because there's a lot of information. And then if I paste it to a Word document, I can save it on my computer. I can work a few cases at a time or a few of the questions at a time. And then I can print this out or I can have this with me when I'm ready to go back in and take my test. It may be the next day, it may be the day after, but and mine is taking a little bit longer than it should, and that's okay. So I can come back in here once I close out. You don't even have to save all your answers. You can just click away. What's going to happen is that if let me click away. I'm just going to click on the announcements page. I'm going to leave the page. I'm going to get an error message telling me that the test has been submitted on my behalf when I go back into this area. And that's okay, because what's going to happen, as you can see, I left it without submitting. It's going to score me as a 0. And that's fine, because when I have the opportunity, I can just go in and click on that 0 and click try a new attempt. You can do this for both of your tests as long as one of them is not a coding test every week. The questions will be in a different order, so pay attention to that. Don't just go in and go, A, B, C, D, E, F, G according to what you've completed. You have to look for those exact same scenarios and questions and then fill in your answers that way. 80% of the information will be the exact same. So if you've done okay and you've done well, then you know that you have at least 80% of them, answered, or, you will see if you didn't get them correctly. Once your test is scored, you can see how well you did. If you do not like that score, try it again. You can continually take your test as many times as you like until the test closes, which is usually on a Sunday midnight. All right, now here is a rubric that I have here. This one is basically for uh, something to do with the language of medicine assignment. It's worth 40 points, and I have the dispensation and the points allowed and the score broken down on what I'm looking for and how to receive full credit for these assignments. And then once again, you can review the essay requirements by clicking there. And this will usually show up on probably every rubric. So come here and look for your rubric before you begin those assignments, because the assignments kind of tell you what the general criteria is, and I will break it down on how I'm going to grade that criteria in detail. For the discussions every week, there will be a rubric in there as well. So be sure to pay attention to the discussion rubrics as before you submit your discussion every week. It's usually the same. So if you submit your discussion before I submit the rubric, and that usually happens, then it's okay. The rubric is usually the same. Okay, so thank you for viewing. For a faster response, you all may contact me at my outside email address, because I'm usually at my computer, or they'll show up on my phone, and I'll know that you guys are trying to reach me, and then I'll log in and I'll respond to you, or send a response by phone as well. My cell phone number, 805-824-0065. This is my work number for you guys. I can receive text messages here, but I cannot receive voicemail messages. This is a Google text number. However, if you definitely need to speak to me, you may call my personal cell phone number, 682-230-2828. I can receive text messages on both lines. However, my availability is the same for both lines as well. So you can't call me on Monday here and then don't reach me and call me on Monday here, because either I'm in live lab or I'm very busy. And if you want to leave a voicemail, you can leave one here at 682-230-2828. But that's the only line that receives voicemails. Okay, so remember, I am here to help you succeed. So by all means, reach out to me. I am very approachable and I am very available. If you have any questions about any of this information that I covered today, then please feel free to get in contact with me. Thank you for viewing and have a great 5 weeks.